Hey guys, back again with 2010's Hatchet 2, the sequel to Hatchet 1, which is obvious by the title Hatchet 2. And this time it's directed by Adam Green again, and it stars some good characters, so let's get on with it. First person starring in this is Daniela Harris as Mary Beth, instead of Tamara Feldman. Is it Feldman? Yeah. And I thought the casting of Danielle Harris was good, but Danielle Harris wasn't her normal self in this. What I mean by that was she tried doing, I think, a southern accent, and it was going on and off throughout the whole film, but you don't really care about that because it's like a B movie. But it's there, you know. Tony Todd plays Reverend Zombie again, which, to be honest with you, I was really happy about because I honestly thought that in the first one he should have been in it more than a few seconds because that's what it felt like, even though he was in it for a few minutes. Kane Hodder reprises his role as Victor Crowley and Thomas Crowley. And I really like the fact that Thomas Crowley had more screen time. There was like a deeper story about him and Victor more in this movie. Parry Shen plays Justin, the twin brother of Sean, which I thought was a good idea. And to be honest with you, it's different in this. It's still fun, but it's nowhere as fun as he was in the first one, which to be honest I'm quite glad about because it makes the brothers different. Tom Holland, R.A. Mihaloff, who was the Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, A.J. Bowen, Alexis Kendra, Ed Ackerman, David Foy, and Sean Ashmore, I think. He had a cameo in the movie. And he was in Frozen, directed by Adam Green as well. Yeah, it was Sean Ashmore. And it's really, to be honest with you, I really like this movie. But I didn't like it as much as the first one, if you get what I mean. So basically, the film starts out where the last one left off. Is that Danielle Harris is the one getting strangled by Crowley instead of Tamara because they've changed the character's person, the actress playing the character. So she gets away and she gets saved by Jack Cracker. He helps her up and he gives her a drink, which I'm guessing is his urine. So there we go. She's talking to him. He finds out that she was Sassaman's kid. And basically, he decides to kick her out. Well, he's got Shapiro's camera. And he looks on it, and basically he saw these women flashing and all this stuff. And I think that's to get a lot of the nudity in there that was in the first one without making it painfully obvious through the whole movie. So that was pretty good. And then basically she's walking down the street and Mardi Gras looks like it's over. And then you get a cameo from Adam Green being sick on the floor, which was good. I like that. I like cameos. I like Alfred Hitchcock's cameos, even though I think they're a lot more classy than most because he's on a picture or he's in a crowd. It's not him on the screen, if you get what I mean, not just him. So, no, I'm saying Adam Green's isn't classy. I'm just saying I like that because there's something more classy about it. So she knocks on Reverend Zombie's door. And she goes, "Can I talk to you?" And he goes, "No." She goes, "When can I?" He goes, "Next month." And goes, "Shut the door." And she forces him to let her in. She basically tells him that her family was killed by Victor Crowley, her dad Sampson and her brother Ainsley. And she wants to go back and get their bodies. Which to me seems pointless. If there's a killer out there that's deformed and crazy, why would you want to go back in there to get your family's bodies? So this is where Tony Todd as Reverend Zombie tells her the story about Victor Crow and Thomas Crow. Basically, it's a little bit more deeper this time than the first one. Now, this time around, it was actually quite interesting because what we hear is that Thomas Crowder, yeah, it was right, Thomas Crowley, sorry, is basically his wife, Sheann Crowley, is dying. She's on her deathbed, and she's been that way for years. Well, they've got a person who comes and looks after her called Lena, who's a nurse. I'm guessing a nurse. Social worker, nurse, whatever she is. And she comes in and she's looking after her. But what happens is Thomas Crowley and Lena get closer, and while she's dying, basically he's humping her up against the wall, you know, giving it to her like, yeah, oh baby, oh yeah, baby, oh yeah, you know, and she dies. Dies, and Thomas grabs hold of Lena's hand, and basically they kiss by the dead body, which is a bit creepy. And then they look, and she's up, and she basically puts her hand on Lena's stomach and curses it. But their baby will be deformed because she's pregnant. And then Sheehan just dies again. And Thomas goes on his knees by going, no. And you're like, hmm. So Lena basically then gives birth to the baby, obviously, with a little while later. And Thomas is home baby, but Reverend Zombie says the story is that she saw the baby, Lena, and she died instantly. So then basically you're sitting there going, this backstory is a little bit better than the first one. So basically it then shows him with the boy outside, and instead of in the first one where it said he hid the boy because he was protecting the boy, Reverend Zombie's version is that he was hide the boy because he was obsessed with and he was ashamed of what he'd done. Basically with Lena and Sheehan. And then it shows the normal stuff again, where he's feeding the boy, and then there's the people who throw the, firecrackers that set fire to a place, the fireworks, whatever they are, and then how he kills his son by accident. And it shows him being really depressed, and basically him going after the kids, and the parents protects them, and then obviously he's died, doesn't he? So I like that backstory a little bit more because it felt a little bit more deeper. I didn't give it justice in the way I explained it, but it was a little bit more deeper. And the problem with it was, but as deep as it was, it still felt cheap, And I like that, but at the same time, So Reverend Zombie basically talks on and on and on, and then she goes, "We need to go and get my family's bodies." And you're like, why would you want to go and get your family's bodies? Why would you want to risk your life again? Crazy. You know he didn't die when you stuck things through him. You know he didn't die when he got shot. You shot him yourself in the first one. And he didn't die. So you're sitting there going, okay, why is this happening? Why would you want to go back? So Reverend Zombie, when she leaves, calls down Justin, who's played by Parry Shen. The brother, he plays Justin, the brother of Sean. And basically, he doesn't know Sean's dead. And he said, basically, Reverend Zombie goes on about how the boat's missing and they have to go back and get the boat. And then he calls a whole load of people to a meeting, offers to give them $500 for going. And if they kill Victor Crowley, they get $5,000. After that, it basically turns into almost the same movie as the first one. People going around, people getting killed horribly. So I'm not gonna go through that whole thing because, like the first movie, it takes about 40-50 minutes before the killings start happening. But the one thing I did find about these two movies, and I'm not sure if it's the same in the third one, is that even though it takes a while before the killings actually get started, it doesn't feel boring because you're actually enjoying the movie. You're enjoying what's happening. You're enjoying the thing. Even though it's kind of a lot lower budget than the first one, you're still enjoying it. So there's a couple of scenes which I really liked. Like the first one was the sex scene where he's doing his girlfriend, I'm guessing, doggy style. Oh yeah, she's going to tell me you love me. He's like, I love you. She goes, tell me you love me. And he goes, I love you. And Victor goes up behind him and cuts his head off. And basically the body starts shaking. She goes, oh, hold up. And he stops. And she goes, have you fallen asleep on me again? And she's going back and forth on him. It's just so funny. She turns around and there's Victor and he sticks the thing in her chest and he can't get out. I think it's her chest. And I was sitting there going, why couldn't he just get inside her? It would have been funny if he'd been like, and she'd turn around. That would have been funny as hell. But no. Then you see this big, massive chainsaw, which is probably the biggest chainsaw you've ever seen in your life. Looks like it needs to be on a truck or something, going through something, not like in someone's hands. the problem with Victor Crowley in this movie was the makeup effects wasn't as good as the first one. So his look felt a bit cheap to me. And he also looks a lot more like Jason Voorhees without his mask on. Not the same, but a lot like. But then that's not surprising considering that Kane Hodder did play Jason Voorhees at one point. So basically, the whole point of the movie is that she wants to get her family's bodies and she wants to get revenge, I guess, again. Reverend Zombie gets her to bring a family member with her, her uncle, because he thinks that if the people responsible for the fire which got him killed from his dad doing the thing basically get killed by Victor, then the curse is unleashed and finished. But Mary Beth says that her uncle died when she was 12 of leukemia. And he goes, "You're shitting me." And he looks up and there's Victor over there after he's killed everybody else. And it was actually a lot of fun seeing Tony Todd and Kane Hodder go at it. I enjoyed that. I thought that was great. I thought that was really great because it's kind of like we all want it, don't we? It's like when we saw Freddy versus Jason. We were all like, yeah, we want to see this. Like, we want to see Michael Myers versus Jason. They're almost the exact same kind of person. But we want to see who could survive, if you know what I mean. And, like, when we got Freddy vs. Jason, we all went, yeah! And some of us loved the film and some of us hated the film. Me, personally, depends on the day whether I love it or hate it. But when we saw Tony Todd the Candyman go against Kane Hodder, Jason, aka Victor Crowley, we're like, yes! But it didn't last long. And then Danielle Harris basically gets him on the floor, Victor Crowley, and shoots him and she gets blood all over her. And that's the point when I thought to myself, why is it that when I watch a horror movie, I get so turned on when women have blood all over them after blowing someone's brains out? Oh, yeah. Yes. So then she basically gets a big massive shotgun and shoots him in the head, and that's the end of the film. Yeah, I don't like that. That's the problem with a lot of the films. I know it's supposed to be very 80s like, the time of the fantastic slashers and horrors. But one of the things I really didn't like about this movie was the fact that, and the other movie, I don't like how they just stop. And I know that's an old thing, like an old retro kind of thing to do. But I like knowing that people got like away from the swamp. Like they're not in the swamp anymore. I'm wondering if number 3 is going to continue straight from that part, like number 2 did from part 1. I'm going to find out later. But overall, I felt the film was not as gory as the original one. And I've got to think that's because of budget. A lot of people say it is, but to me it wasn't, you know. To me, it felt a little bit let down. I want to see people's arms being ripped off again. I want to see someone getting impaled on a spike again. To me, the first one was a lot more gory and a lot more fun. I like the comedy in the first one. It's not as much in this one. It's more subtle in the second one than it was in the first one. I like the acting, but to be honest, the only 2 people that really mattered in the movie was Danielle Harris and Tony Todd and Kane Hodder. That's 3 people. And Parry Shen. The acting was hit and miss. Like I said, Danielle Harris's voice, she's supposed to be Southern, I think. Because I'm not American, I can't really tell. But her voice goes back and forth. There's this bit where she's talking to Tony Todd where her eyebrow goes up like this. And you're sitting there going, what? And apparently that's something that happens when she's nervous. And she's very self-conscious about it. So I had no idea what that was about. But Tony Todd being like more of a main cast member in this, like a lead character, was a lot better. Because in my view, that made the film a lot better. Because Tony Todd is an icon in horror. You know, and so is Danielle Harris. They're both great. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're as high as Robert Englund, in my view. But then that's my opinion. So I enjoyed the movie. The acting was hit and miss. The film wasn't as gory. It felt like the same movie being repeated, except kind of just tiny differences to it. And it felt very cheap in a lot of ways compared to the first one. Like I said, that's because the budget was cut in half. I don't hold that against the film because it's still a fun, exciting film to watch. and it's still worth the time to spend sitting down and watching it for 85 minutes. I could easily watch the movie again if I was watching number one. I could easily watch the trilogy. Obviously, I watched it once. I can't tell you if I'd enjoy that. I mean, I could easily watch these two again, number one and two, because as much as they've got differences and one's more fun than the other, that's like any film in a horror franchise. You don't always have two which are fantastic all the time. But considering it was made 2010, it's a lot better than a lot of the other stuff that came out, in my view, then, of this kind of film. So my final thoughts of Danielle Harris and Tony Hodder were great choices for the leads. Kane Hodder put in a great performance. And what I like about the Kane Hodder performance is he doesn't talk a lot in the movie. It's more storytelling. You don't hear him talk. When he does, he is quite, you can imagine him being quite an angry menace in person. And the thing with Kane Hodder and Tony Todd, they're both massive guys. So when they actually clash, even though it's for like a minute or two, it's just such a cool thing to say. One of the other things I did like in this movie before I finished the review is when Victor Crowley went against, let's see if I can remember his name. No, I'm not going to find him. It was a big bloke. I'm not sure who it was. I think it was Trent. I'm not sure. But there's this big guy in it, and he goes against him, and the fight's like 5 minutes long. I really like that, but it wasn't just easy to kill him, but it was like a big guy going against a big guy, and it felt like he could have beat him. You knew he wasn't going to, but it was good to feel like he might have done, instead of just being stabbed or cut up or something. So that was a good thing to say. So yeah, if I was going to rate the movie, I think I rated the first one 4.5, I think. So if that's the case, I basically would rate this one a 4, because I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film, but there was a lot of stuff in it you could see it obviously been toned down from the original. And in some aspects that's better, and in some aspects it's not. I didn't like that there wasn't the continuity of the same actress playing Mary Beth. But I'm glad it was Danielle Harris, because I do like her and I do enjoy the film she's in. And I've seen quite a lot of her in lately, actually. Is it all? I think it's all. No, Hallow's Eve. See No Evil 2. So, and this. And I think she's in the third one. So, yeah, 4.0, guys. I recommend if you've watched the first one, give this one a go. You'll still enjoy it. You'll see that certain things are different, but a lot of it's the same. That's not a bad thing. Just look at the Friday the 13th films. They're almost the same thing over and over and over again. And we still enjoy them. So it's not a bad thing. It's just you want a little bit of difference sometimes, especially in today's horror universe. Because there's so much that you can do and so many places you can do it. You want to see a little bit of difference. And I think that's the problem. Back in the 80s, we didn't mind so much. Back in the 80s and 90s, we didn't mind so much having the same setting, the same storyline as much. We wanted it to change, but we could live with it because we loved the characters. We're just getting to know Victor Crowley more, so we want to see more from him. We want to see more of what he's capable of. We want to see what he's going to do in a different environment. And we want to add more storylines. I'm heard there's apparently a number 4 possibly going to happen at some point. But I don't know. But I'm not going to talk about that until I watch the third one anyway. So, yeah. So I recommend it to anybody who likes 80s films. It's still good. Not as good as the first one, but a lot of fun. So, guys, as always, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. And hit the like button. So, thanks for watching, guys, and take care.